but not, just, as you can see by the mess.
Yeah.
So many podcasts I listen to, like the hosts, they actually record in their closets these days since COVID. So it's a good space.
We are
Not
live.
everybody professional on a laptop, and here I am just outside on my cell phone. Like, hey.
I've been meaning to put up a bunch of stuff, but I'm barely ever on video, so there's really no point.
Alex, what are you using for a microphone?
I use the Samson Pro Track.
Oh, I need to get one of those. You sound really good. I need to get one of those.
Yeah, I have everything. I have a pop filter and all that jazz.
Really?
Yeah, I thought about getting a second one for interviews.
Yeah.
But when COVID started, everything kind of like went downward for me. I just really didn't want to do it anymore for a while because social media kind of exploded and people's, attitude towards everything was really. So I didn't really want to do podcasting after that. So I'm taking kind of a break, but working on it.
I'm going to hit you up on Twitter. I want to know what your setup is because my setup is terrible.
Probably not that far from mine. I just have a mic in my laptop.
Yeah.
And that's really it.
All right. While we're talking death matches, we're waiting for Madman Pondo to jump on with us. And we got John Cosper
sometime this year.
So John, I'll leave it up to. I'll take it to. I'll throw it over to you.
All right, yeah, we decided to just kind of get a panel of guys who do death matches, and this is just kind of a fun way to get everybody together and kind of talk about it. And for the deathmatch fans, hopefully this is going to be a treat for all of you to actually get to see these folks in person. And those of you who are curious about death matches,
who's that guy? Look at his haircut, Eric. Look at his fresh little haircut. He's like, look at me. I'm a cute boy.
Yeah.
Oh, whatever. Look, I need
Minnesota.
I've got a
Minnesota. Nice.
Yeah. So as I was saying, this is just kind of a way to get everybody together, and and for those who are curious what the heck death matches are all about. This is a place where you can come and ask questions and find out. I have to tell you, despite the reputation that I know a lot of people have and certain attitudes people have about it, the deathmatch guys that I know personally that I've seen wrestle, these are some of the best storytellers in the ring anywhere. And that's with or without the accoutrements that come along with doing deathmatch wrestling. Some of these guys are phenomenal, and you're going to get to meet quite a few of them, face to face tonight. Feel free to ask questions. I will say, Alex, that you and I've never met in person. I've seen you at a number of shows, and you were one part of a tag match, you and Jake Christ against Aaron Williams and Ron Mathis, that I go back to, and I'm like, that's the match that made me an independent wrestling fan. So it's great to talk to you, and wanted to share that with you as well. So, guys, welcome. We got Eric Ryan, we got Oren Veit, we got Alex Colon. We're waiting on the fashionably late Madman Pondo.
Yeah, sounds all right.
Who helped to kind of get everybody together. Right off the top, I want to share a guy named Jeff Waldridge was going to join us. He put together a documentary called Hard Way, which is all about deathmatch wrestling. It's available on streaming, DVD, and Blu-ray. If you go to hardwayfilm.com, you can get all the information about that. I wanted to share that for him and give him a shout out. Would have loved to have him here. So, but we'll kick it off. We'll just kind of go around the circle here, guys. Why in the world would you ever want to do a death match? Eric, we can start with you since you're top right there.
That's the age-old question that I still don't know if I have a true answer for. I can tell you that it is the one form of wrestling that I just purely enjoy the most. I just feel like I get the most from it. I don't know. Maybe that's just why I do it, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Alex, how about you? How'd you get into it?
Well, I've been a deathmatch fan for a very long time because I caught CZW in its early inception, when they were really innovating deathmatching to a whole nother level. And I just kind of fell into it, and I initially started training, wanting to kind of be a deathmatch wrestler, I guess. And when you're in training, things change, your mind changes. You really don't want to destroy your body after going through training and learning as much as you do and stuff about the business. So, and especially the bad reputation that death matches gets, people tend to just not want to do it because they want to build a proper reputation in wrestling. So, I strayed away from it, but obviously, as you can tell, past couple of years, I've fallen right into where I initially intended to. So, for me, mostly it's the most exciting genre and niche in the wrestling industry. And anybody who does one, you can just see the look on their face after they do one, the amount of adrenaline and excitement. I mean, but it's also taxing, as you can tell from our bodies. So, I mean, it's an amazing art form if you know how to do it properly. It's not just hit each other with weapons, so it's not for everybody. Not everybody enjoys it. Some people look down on us, but for those who do, they know that what we do to our best abilities.
I was gonna say, you can even see that from photos on Facebook, and the videos that I see after matches, and you guys with the crimson mask and guys and ladies. I mean, it just there's obviously something about, I don't get it because and that's because I'm not a wrestler, and B, I'm not into the idea of getting hit in the head with a barbed wire bat. But I mean, I do see. There's definitely a rush to it. There's definitely something to it that draws guys in. So, Oren, how about yourself? What got you into it?
I was just a young, dumb kid, and like that was what I figured was gonna be like what I got into wrestling to do. Messed around with normal matches because my trainer was like, "Don't you ever do that shit? Like that is not what you're ever allowed to do." And then I ended up finding a way to do it. And once I started, there was no looking back.
Yeah. Who are some of the guys that got you all into death matches?
The usual guys. Like the Born to Be Wired match was like the first big thing I saw that I was like, oh yeah, that's what I want to do. And I don't know why. Like somebody ripping open their bicep or like completely getting ruined was like, yep, that's what I want to do in wrestling. But that was some of the big stuff initially. And then obviously like you have guys like Mondo that are around, and coming from Minnesota, that's pretty homey for me to look up to a guy like that. And then now I'm stuck with all these guys who've been around way longer than I have.
We're stuck with you, guy. Love it.
Alex, how about you? What got you into it?
Well, before I knew about CZW and all that other stuff, really the Japanese stuff got me in. Hayabusa, Onita, all that weird, like, exploding stuff's exploding. Mm-hmm. It's kind of hokey when you think about it now, but it was at the time it was like, oh, they got their stuff exploding everywhere, and obviously when we found Nick Mondo, guys like me found Nick Mondo and all those early CZW guys, that really amped it up to a whole nother degree.
Yeah. Hey, can I pull up a tweet real quick? Because this is really impressive here that I just found on Alex's Twitter. Day 4 in my deathbed. It's a rough week when you're still bleeding through your T-shirt.
Yeah,
that's
rough.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, I had a long weekend, and my back's still pretty messed up. My hands are shredded. It's a rough style, man. It's not for everybody. I always say that all the time because there's tons of wrestlers, tons of guys who are some people's favorite indie wrestlers, even people who are on TV who always like it's something that they want to mark off the list. But for guys like me, Eric, and Oren, this isn't something we mark off the list. This is literally something we do almost every weekend, and we take pride in our work, regardless if people enjoy it or not. It's what we do, and it's what we do well.
Yeah. Eric, who were some of your early influences, some of the guys that you watched?
My first introduction was kind of like Alex's, but a little different. It was Japanese deathmatch wrestling, but it was through Stranglemania. Shout out, whoop whoop, 2 scoops. But Cactus Jack was definitely like an early influence, and watch a lot of his stuff. Out of Terry Funk. Oh, just Orange fucking gone.
Yeah. typical Orange.
Running out on us.
And then kind of slowly sprinkled into like the American deathmatch stuff, and then kind of went back and forth and heavily kind of got back into it as I was slowly kind of sinking my toes into it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how is the your pain tolerance? I mean, do you build it up over time, or how does that work?
I'm unsure what feeling normal is like anymore, so I can't really tell and like how much pain I'm actually in at any given moment. But I'd say it's relatively high.
Okay.
You're lucky, because for me it's not. I still feel everything. I think like in tournaments, you could probably attest to this, Eric. In tournaments is a little bit different. So if it's like a one-off match, I don't think I feel as much, maybe because the adrenaline's full throttle. But like if you're in a tournament and your adrenaline's going up and down,
Yeah.
like dude, like this past weekend, that the second and third match, I was in massive amounts of pain because my adrenaline was completely drained
And it
by
was
the time
outside,
I got
probably didn't
past my
have enough
first one.
water in you.
Yep.
Yeah, that was something we talked about right before we went on the air. Is you guys have actually been back to work and working in front of crowds even before a lot of other indie wrestlers. So, was there? What was it like coming back to it after the layoff and having been out for a while?
I don't see there being too much of a difference other than everybody just being spaced out, because usually everyone's so crammed in together, so the atmosphere is a little bit more wild. I feel like right now everything's kind of like, when it comes to people being together, it's a little contained, so everybody kind of keeps space in between each other. You know what I mean? And obviously the indie companies are kind of still working on the best formula possible, because everybody's switching it up weekend to weekend and kind of make it more safer for fans and even wrestlers, because we're obviously in the ring without a mask on, and we got to make sure that the fans are kind of equipped along with spacing and masks to kind of keep us safe as well. So, it's not saying that it's a crapshoot of any sort. It's just everybody's kind of learning from every weekend and getting better at the formula to make everything safer for everyone there.
Yeah, I've been real impressed the way the promoters are doing things, and I haven't heard of any kind of an outbreak from a locker room or even fans yet, which is good. Hopefully we keep that up. So, but how are the fans responding to having to have more distance, but and follow the rules?
I think so far fans have been very good about it. Like they're still just as hungry and vocal as for the product as they were beforehand. But I think just like with booze, drugs, and anything else, people are gonna slip up, a mask's gonna get down, the picture's gonna get taken, and everything's gonna get blown out of context. But that's gonna happen. But other than those little mishaps, like everything I think has been smooth with fans.
That kind of comes part and parcel with death matches too, because something from a show is going to get clipped and tagged on Jim Cornette's Twitter, and just to get his reaction every weekend anyway. So,
let's get a couple questions.
Sure.
How would you describe a death match, and what officially makes it a death match? Who wants to take that one?
The imminent thought of death, maybe. Because like the death match we do now in 2020 compared to like what Terry Funk's father was calling a death match, like a Texas death match, is kind of completely different. Like I think it's evolved through the generations. Like every generation kind of had their inception. Like maybe towards the beginning it was more hardcore, but the later on you go through the years, like the thought of death match compared to, like, let's say hardcore, like a hardcore match to me personally is anything that doesn't have glass in it per se. Like we're counting like the basics, like doors, stuff like that, chairs, thumbtacks, maybe a little bit of barbed wire. But when you want to get into a death match realm and you want to call it a death match, at least in our avenue, there's light tubes involved, there's glass, there's gusset plates, all them weird little gimmicks that not every hardcore match really throws in there. Also, it's stuff that normal people would probably be afraid of. You can also call it death match.
I was gonna say the same thing. Pretty much, a death match is, to me, like a true death match involves glass.
Yep.
Really interesting. All right, let's get what's the worst injury you've ever had from a death match?
Jesus Christ.
Mine just happened. So
what was it?
I got punctured in my arm and then almost bled out. I was down to old blood transfusion level, and finally, like this last week, I'm at normal levels and back to like normal stuff.
What did you get punctured with?
Just a piece of light tube. Just did a move I've done a million times, and like that just goes to show just how dangerous what we do is. Like I've done that slingshot DDT onto light tubes at least 20 times, and I do it this time, and it punctures my arm and I almost bleed out. Like,
yeah. How about you, Alex? What's your worst injury?
One time I had and you could probably see, I don't know if y'all can see, there's kind of a cut.
Oh yeah,
right there on top of a cut that I had from a match I had with the late Danny Havoc, where my hand was pretty cut up bad and the back of my head was cut up bad, so where I had to go to the hospital and I was stuck there after a show for 8 hours, where I started to go into shock, probably nearly died. So they threw me on a bunch of stuff. Strapped IVs in and took all the precautions and snapped me out of it. But they told me that I was basically suffering from dehydration and possible kidney failure due to blood loss. But hey, I'm here right now, so.
Wow.
Mine would have to be the shopping cart incident. I was a quarter inch away from puncturing my kidney and severing my colon and having a permanent colostomy bag.
Wow. All right.
That was
WWE's no joke, man.
Yeah.
How do you guys get motivated to go into one?
Oh, fuck.
And this is I'm sorry for cutting you off here. This is an argument I've had with a lot of people recently, because I feel like in Japanese death matches, and we would all know because we've actually had the opportunity to go to Japan. They really take their time with the way they build their death matches and their bigger matches. I feel like in the US, where a lot of companies are really rushing into these big singles death matches. So, it doesn't really give us too much preparation time for what we need, at least when it comes to building the match and kind of creating more revenue and buzz, and maybe even creating a more of an adrenaline rush for us. Because I know when I go into a match and it's really been hyped up, like my level of adrenaline and excitement for it is beyond control.
Yeah.
And right now I feel like when it comes to the US deathmatch scene, we've pretty much us three and many other guys have evolved the style to include more wrestling, more aspects of wrestling, not just hitting each other with weapons, kind of like the early days of the 2000s US deathmatch scene. So I feel like what all that stuff it's missing is also attributing to our lack of motivation to a degree, but and I feel like I'm getting off track here, but like motivating wise, what we need is just build. And I feel like that there's a lack of that, unfortunately, but that's not for me to decide. That's for the money guys to decide.
I think like a general adrenaline rush afterwards is kind of the motivation too. It's a weird feeling, you don't get that feeling from anything else. Like, it's only from deathmatch wrestling. Like, you get that weird high rush, and I'm sure Alex and Oren can kind of understand what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, that's like the biggest thing. And Alex said, like, when there's something hyped up and there's like a program going into it, or like a bigger story, you really get like other level hyped up before you go through that curtain, because that you've built to something, you've put a lot of work into something, and now you're about to go out there and do everything you can to deliver on like that level that we're expected to deliver on. But when you're going out for these, if it's a big match, a big like dream match per se, like, you can get pretty hyped for that, and you have to. If you don't have those nerves and you don't have like that kind of worry in your gut, then it's tough to go out there. Like, that was one of the things I heard right away from Murdoch in my first Insane 8 was, if that like initial kind of fear and worry of what you're about to go and do ever goes away, then it's kind of time to hang it up. He's like, if that's always there and you have that like worry in your gut that you're about to go do some gnarly stuff, then you're good. And you get through it, and that high, like Eric said, is like no other. You get done, that crowd is loud, that they're electric, everything's electric. You get done and you're like, oh my god, that is better than any drug you can do.
So Eddie, you go ahead and throw that question back up there. Is that kind of ties into what we were just talking about here?
Yeah. Any of you guys ever wrestle New Jack and let him blade you?
Nope.
Nope.
First thing you learn is don't let anyone blade you, because usually it ends really bad.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Now, how do you learn how do you learn to do that? Do you practice at all, or
No, you don't. You don't learn. This is with a lot of stuff when it comes to the current deathmatch stuff. You don't learn it at a school.
Yeah.
I mean, and even in general, you don't go to a wrestling show and you don't start asking guys, how do you really do this? It's something you learn on the job almost.
On the job training.
I mean, it's hard to say. I didn't learn. No one taught me how to blade. I had to ask, hey, is this how you cut this properly? And they'd be like, well, you have to essentially judge it for yourself. So it's almost a trial thing, like trial and run.
That's my favorite question I get asked is like, how do you train for that? How do you do you break glass on a regular basis? You're like, no, that would be stupid. But yeah, it's all OJT.
So you don't sit there and stab yourself with a fork to get used to the feeling?
No, not at all.
No.
So John, have you been to death matches?
I've seen a few of them on shows. I haven't been. Actually, I had an opportunity to go to a deathmatch tournament last summer, and my stinking nephew had to get married that weekend. I was going to go to one, and there was a men's and women's tournament up in Chicago. I was going to go to with Pondo. So I haven't been, but I've seen a few of them, and it's definitely its own unique style. It's only in your, you see the barbed wire come out, you see the light tubes come out, and you're like, holy crap, I'm going to watch people actually do this here in a minute. So, hey, we got Akira in.
Who's that guy?
Some asshole. Don't mind me. Pondo's having trouble, so I was like,
awesome. Yeah, it might as well jump in and take his spot. So,
Yeah, I'm gonna throw up a question
over
now. Yeah, how do you come down afterwards? And does it take you obviously a week to recover from a match?
Oh man, does it? For younger guys like maybe Oren or Akira, the healing process might be quicker. For guys like me, because I'm in my mid-30s, so guys like me, it takes at least 3 weeks to get a proper heal going, and even then, depending on how deep the cuts are, it might take longer. Coming down's the worst, and anybody here could tell you they've probably heard me scream bloody murder in the shower after a death match. So,
wow, 3 weeks to recover.
Oh yeah,
incredible.
For me at least 3 weeks. Yeah, fully.
I don't know. It depends. It varies. I have weeks where, I'll come out of it feeling not too bad, and then just like this last weekend, I feel like straight fucking trash. I feel like I've been hit by a car. I don't know what it is. Just a product getting old, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, that come down is the absolute worst because you're at the highest of highs, and then that drive home or that flight home, whatever it is, once you're out of the first couple hours and you're all doctored up, what's good and what's not good, then you have to start feeling every single cut in your body and your shirt's sticking to you. You got to get in that shower, and that's a nightmare. You got to get the shirt off of you, which is even worse. And I heal up pretty quick, typically. For whatever reason, this last time, where they stapled me and stitched me, that took way longer to heal than when I just don't touch it and just let it heal on its own. But typically, I'm healed up in a week and ready to go. And yeah, my body's still younger, so I don't feel that the aches and pains like the other guys do, but I'm sure that's coming.
Oh yeah, it is.
Very soon.
So I've got a question to throw out to the group. What's because I know you guys talk about getting medical attention. What's the oddest reaction you've had from someone giving you a treatment and they ask you, how in the world did this happen?
Oh man, there, and this is for everybody. There comes a time when you first start doing this, you end up in the hospital. You try to lie. I don't know if anyone else does it.
That was mine.
You try to lie. You're like, oh, I got into a motorcycle accident and I fell into a bunch of glass and stuff, and that's why I look like this.
I never.
But for me,
lied. I just beat around the bush, so I didn't have to explain it. Then you had to end up explaining it anyways.
Mine was more convoluted. I was like, I was hanging up a picture and I fell through my glass table I just bought. And the nurse looked at me like I was fucking insane. And I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know what happened. I just fell. So I landed straight on my back.
No,
almost cut an artery in my thigh, but just fell backwards.
the best is I walked in to get something treated in Japan, and they seen all the scars, and they were like, "Did you go to the hospital for these?" I was like, "No." What did you do? I super glued it. So they literally had half the whole staff on overnights come in to take a look at me, and they were all just bewildered at the fact that I super glued most of my cuts shut.
My favorite part is when I go in and like I've got something on my arm that won't stop bleeding, and my back just looks like ground hamburger, and I have to tell them, I'm like, hey, so I know this looks bad, but hear me out. Like, it's just my arm. The rest is fine. Don't even worry about it. And like one time they were totally cool about it. This last time she's like, you're drunk. You don't know what you're talking about. And I'm like, wow.
After my last ER visit, I got a follow-up call. This was, I think, last week or the week before. They're talking about like following up on your visit, if you have any questions, concerns, or light bulb stuck in your back, and they start laughing, and then you hear everybody in the back start laughing. It's not that I'm a joke at the ER, but they know what I do and they find it hilarious. So anytime I come in, they're like, "What happened now?"
First name basis.
One of my favorite stories. It wasn't a death match related, but it was a wrestler I know from Canada, and I'll withhold his name to protect the guilty. But he was working a show in Minnesota and got seriously hurt. Got through the weekend, went back to work in Canada on Monday, pretended he got hurt at the job because in Canada he has free health care. So he went into the hospital on that Monday.
Sounds like a great idea we can't utilize here in the States.
Exactly. So.
No, just go to the ER. You'll be all right.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, Kira, we asked these guys what got them into death matches. What was it that got you interested?
There's a guy in the chat right now in the video. He's bald. I went and my first ever deathmatch show I went to was that man and Jun Kasai, and like that entire trip is what I got to Mexico going there because I got invited to go on the car ride. On the way back, I got to clean the gusset wounds in his forehead as he laid there groaning and saying, "Don't ever do this, don't ever do this, don't ever do this." And then a year later, I'm getting bitched at by that same man. I said, "Not to do this. What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm sorry."
Kids.
But that's just kind of how it happened, and then it just snowballed. And it turns out I really became to appreciate it as I did it.
How's Charlie Cruel recovering from her first death match this weekend?
She's more complaining about the fat lip other than anything.
Okay.
Like the gusset wounds in the head, she's just like, whatever, don't care. Went to work. People at Taco Bell were like, "Why do you have holes in your head?" He brought my name up, and I was like, I didn't say do it. You did it on your own. So I'm getting blamed for shit now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Alex Clone's fault.
It is not my fault. I told you. I warned you. Now you must burn.
That.
Have any of you guys been in a fight, like a street fight, like outside of the ring? I'm assuming that those are like amateur hour for you compared to being in the ring, right?
Well, you have a lot more respect for no fair fights. Fair fights don't exist.
Right. Interesting. Hold on here. Jamie has a question. How do your friends and family react to the death matches?
My girlfriend absolutely hates it. Like, it drives her insane. But she knows that it's what I love to do, so here she is supporting me. Like, she'll be going to the Insane 8 this weekend, and I'm like, "Are you sure you want to do that?" She's like, "Yep, I'd rather I was there when you die than not be there when you die." And my son loves it. My son, he's 9, and he thinks it's just the coolest thing in the world. And he also, like, for whatever reason, I think kids love deathmatch wrestling, and they love Schlack in deathmatch wrestling. They think that Schlack is like the coolest guy. I don't get it.
He's like the monsters they play with. So.
Yeah, he is. They're like, oh, that's like what I see on TV, like in the monster movies.
That's like remember the old man in Home Alone? The little kid was afraid of the old man. That'd be like Schlack.
Yeah.
Hey, come here.
Let's see here. David says, huge. Just wants you guys to know he's a huge fan of the death matches. Any of you guys work with Abdul at all, or any other deathmatch legends?
Yeah, if you want hepatitis C or whatever. Come on, guys. We're trying to be safe over here. You know what I mean? Like, it's a different day. We're trying to be safe now.
So, some of the big names you guys have worked with, some of the legends.
All right, sorry to cut you guys off, but I got to dip. I got some other obligations got to get to, so my apologies.
No problem. Appreciate you dropping on, man.
Yeah,
Gotta pack that merch up, son. Got to pack that merch.
Get that money.
See ya.
Bye.
Maybe Pondo can get in now.
This is like Willy Wonka.
He's still up. I'm watching Kenny trying to talk him through tech support over here. So we turned it off and on. We're trying to browsing history. Yeah, the thing is, he did the first time we did this when we had COVID Con. You know, we got him on, and he was our Saturday midnight show, and had a great half hour with him. So, but he's
oddly enough, like with the legends or like names. Like the guys that are still doing it today, like have been around so damn long that they're becoming like the legends and the names at this point. Like Alex has been doing this way too long, and he's like a name guy. Like he's for like young guys like Akira and I, like he's been doing this long enough that he's built up that legacy. Like, Raver's been doing this so long. You have a lot of guys that like you're fortunate enough to share locker rooms with that have that legacy and like have built up a really solid body of work that stands up with a lot of other people. Getting to share the ring with a guy like Takeda was huge. Being in the ring with Ito was, a huge thing for me because like that's somebody that you look up to when you watch, death matches, and the longevity is insane. Like for them to be able to perform at that level for so long is what you want to be able to do. So getting to share the ring with them, you kind of see like how they're able to do it for so long because of the way that they work.
I was saying it seems counterintuitive that you could have a long career doing deathmatch, but there's obviously a certain way to do everything, and just like there is working smart in a regular match, there's a way to work smart in a death match as well. So, what are some of the early mistakes that the guys have to kind of work through and unlearn as they're learning how to do it?
Just knowing what is I don't want to say what's possible to do, and some things that are kind of almost impossible. Knowing what's going to kill you and what's not going to kill you. You have a lot of newer guys who get into it, and there's a way to do things. There's a way to swing a light tube that a lot of people don't realize. There's a way to utilize these weapons in a certain way where it's kind of like you're going to hurt yourself, but you're not going to, let's say, shred your head in half, and a lot of the people that come in here and they don't understand the process such as we do, they end up in sometimes bad positions, or they end up with bad habits when it comes to death matches that really is a hindrance to guys like us who kind of understand how to do things. So, and that's just some of the stuff, I guess.
I think like a big thing for me is like who you're working with. Like a big mistake a lot of people make when they're younger because they don't know or they're newer getting into it is who they're working with. There's a lot of guys that still do this that aren't that safe. They're still the hack and slash guys that just swing away and they don't think about the stuff like Alex just said. And like you're potentially risking shortening your career because you're having matches with guys that aren't super safe or guys that don't know what they're doing. Granted, you're not always fortunate enough to like work with guys that know what they're doing, so you can learn that stuff. But I think that's a big thing is like trying to figure out what is right and what isn't wrong, or like what things you can and can't do.
So, have you guys ever been in any matches where it's like what's it like? I guess what's it like working like the fans bring the weapons or fans bring the props match?
Russian roulette.
Yep. Yep.
Russian roulette. Yeah. Some things are super dangerous. Usually we get to kind of like pick and choose, but there's been instances where it's like things are getting thrown in there. And not everything's detrimental to your health. I mean, regardless, we already do stuff that's not detrimental to your health. But I mean, if fans bring the weapons, you could easily hit somebody with a VCR that's laced with salt or something over the head. God. And there'll be a guy who won't be too happy about it.
Well, and sometimes like you get a bunch of weapons that, fans think are super cool, but they're not practical. Other times you have like, I think Schlack and Casanova night one at King of the Deathmatch this year got super fortunate to have just a bunch of dope weapons brought that were all plausible and all usable, so they could like go to town and use all the weapons. But a lot of times you're having to pick and choose and like, oh, don't hit me with that, or like, please don't use that. That's a no-go, Don't
use the 6-shooter because no one's going to shoot themselves. Don't bring a samurai sword because no one's going to impale anyone.
What?
Yeah, guy. You use Bushido. You're right. Bushido.
What's the most creative and unique thing you've ever seen or gotten to use on a match?
Maybe light tube fans. Those were always interesting ones. Light tube fans are super interesting weapons. I've never taken a Kenzan, but those things look. I don't think I could ever take one. Nope. I've seen people in horrific pain from those things.
So. And Maddie's out there using them like they're nothing. He's like, "Oh, brother, come on, this is
all." Do it, man.
I had to pull one out of his head in Japan. And I'm like, okay, brace yourself. And he's like, oh, yeah, it's all good. And I'm like ripping, and it's not coming. And finally it pops out, and he's like, oh, hey, thanks, brother. Are you kidding me? You're just like super calm and relaxed and just, oh, whatever. But every year in St. 8, there's usually a fan. I don't know what fan it is, but they'll put a pane of glass, and then they'll cover it in like cut in half pop cans, and then line it with light tubes. And like, it's actually super practical to use, and it looks super dope and dangerous. So,
that's Neil put me through that, actually, at the Deathmatch Challenge one. And it was super cool. I like those kinds of weapons. What was it? Slave last year in Colorado, they had like this weird thing where it was like a little table of like light tubes, but they had like pigeon spikes and gussets. And we were like, no, but the guy's like, I'll pay you like $50 to use in the match. We're like, all right. So we went like,
$50. He better give me $300 on top of what I'm already doing.
Hold on.
Pigeon spikes, kids.
So during the match, I'm legitimately I'm pulling off the pigeon spikes. And I'm like, hey, shove this through my ear because I have pierced ears, and the fans didn't know it. And so we used it. We took all the pigeon spikes off. We took off all the gussets, and we used the gussets individually, and then we got paid $50. So it was fine. We just didn't, land on it.
Hey, look who finally showed up.
Can you hear me now?
He made it.
Can hear you.
No, I can't hear you, Pondo. What?
I don't recognize you. You look so skinny, man.
This technical shit is not for me.
Dad man.
Oh, is that new hardcore star Charlie Cruel back there?
Hi, Dad.
Check out what. Look, let me show you what Deathmatch fans make for you. Look at the detail in that.
That's pretty cool.
I'm not that popular yet.
I'm not that popular yet.
Wow.
Oh, that's dope.
That's cool.
That was pretty cool.
All right, so I missed all the shit. What's the questions again? Let's back up.
Oh God.
So Pondo, what's the most what's the most unusual or unique weapon you've ever used or seen used in a death match?
It's got to be that bed of pencils, man. That shit fucked me up for 6 days straight. So I still have it in my back, and I still have a purple mark that goes down in my crack that I really hate. But something about the pencils and the graphite, it poisoned my body for 6 days.
Yeah.
And what sucked was I had tickets to the Cleveland Indians Yankee game the next day, and I didn't want to disappoint anybody. And you know how comfortable those chairs are, and I had to sit in that shit. Three guys that I never thought would do fucking my goddamn life.
It's censoring.
Bad connection, man.
Alex Cologne. Cologne would look at me like I was the biggest moron on the face of the earth after I got done doing death matches. Akira, handsome little Asian guy, you wouldn't think that he would scar his body. Look at that handsome fucking Oren over there cutting his body to shit. See, I never had looks whatsoever. So making myself more ugly is no fucking problem. But you three, what the fuck?
Oh.
Or we could do like supermodel.
What was another question?
Yeah, we should. You're right.
Let's see. Who were some of the guys that got you into deathmatch wrestling? Who were some of the? You were watching the Japanese tapes. You were one of the first guys to do it over here. So you were talk about some of your favorites.
The main two was Masanaga and Pogo, getting those videotapes back in the day, and Pogo catching Masanaga's hair on fire, and that's the first place I saw a barbed wire bat being used. So yeah, I'd say those two are the big influences, which is awesome because Pogo always wanted me to come work for his company, and Masanaga gave me those armbands and told me to call myself the American Danger Man. So when your two heroes think that much of you, shit. I mean, where can you go from there? You know, I mean, you've hit your pinnacle after that, I think. I'm sure them three other guys, they had dreams of WWE. Well, you can kiss those motherfuckers goodbye because you guys are in the deathmatch world now.
No TV for us, Pondo, man. We already know the routine.
Yeah.
They don't want deathmatch guys.
I'm going to go ahead and say this now, and you can quote me later. Someday, death matches are going to hit TV, so you three are doing it right as of now. Like, I'm not saying TV like cable, but I bet a Netflix or a Hulu or a something is going to pick up a deathmatch network. Yeah. And of course, I'm 51 on my way out, but you three are on your way in. So you guys are doing it right.
Alex over here.
No, you get a good five. You get a good five, Pondo, and I'm going that way.
I'm just thinking about Alex around for 15 more years, even more bitter. God, we don't need that. He's so bitter anyway. Yeah,
bitching at us for another 15 years.
Jesus, I can't handle that.
I need to get paid more to stick around people like you.
I've been doing death matches for 19 years, and I'm still doing death matches. I'm still willing to do death matches today, so don't count yourself out. I'm still walking. I'm still breathing all right. I still get out of bed okay. So, death matches are here to stay, you know?
But you're not bitter. Alex is so bitter at all of us. He's so angry all the time.
Alex has been bitter since the day he was born. Alex would be bitter about the Corvette that you bought him.
Yeah,
Pondo taught me how to pump gas. Just keep that in mind.
Oh, shit.
I did.
Turn him into death, yes.
That's amazing.
Hey guys, we're coming up on 9:15, so we got another group of guys to bring in. Pondo, I want you to stick around for just a little bit longer since
I am the group of guys.
Kira crashed your party. So we'll keep Akira for a few minutes longer here too. So Alex and Oren, tell us where we can find you guys online and where you guys are headed the next couple weeks.
You can catch me on Twitter, AlexClone0139. Facebook, my name. So maybe I'll accept your friend request, or maybe you'll be one of the unlucky 800 that I've still not responded to. Show-wise, I'll be at GCW coming up in Indianapolis. Maybe Pondo will not be lazy and show up, and maybe something special will happen, or maybe we can convince some people to make something happen. Ooh. Pondo, you got another run in you, brother. Stop slacking.
I'm not arguing with that. I was 326 pounds thinking I was too fat to do this shit. Now I'm 207. I think I got
you do the Windows 96. Sorry.
I'm at Orenvite on everything. Insane 8 this Sunday, live on Fight TV, and then ICW in a couple weeks, and Time Bomb, where I get to face old bitter man over there. So,
guys, thank you so much for joining us. It's a treat to have you guys. And,
yeah, thanks for
sharing. Yeah, thanks for having us.
All right, take care, guys.
Bye.
Take it easy.
So Eric, did you have any questions?
Oh, we got somebody over here. Madman Pondo, is it true that you follow in the shadows of Too Tough Tony?
Okay.
Is that from Kenny?
Is it true that you follow in the shadow of Too Tough Tony?
Oh, I bet that's Terry Harper, isn't it?
I'm not sure.
It was. Yeah, it was Terry Harper.
Yeah. Tell Terry yes. I follow in Too Tough Tony.
Pondo, did you get to see Charlie's match? Charlie Cruel's first death match this weekend?
I watched it. There's a copy of it that was online. I watched it.
Yeah. How'd she do?
She was talking to me the other day, and she said she always wondered what a gusset plate felt in her head, and I told her she always acts like there was a gusset plate in her
head. I was standing the ringside for that one. That was fun.
Yeah, she found out though. She found out what that gusset plate felt like.
Hey, so the best part of it. Yeah. The best part of a Charlie Cruel match is the guy with the red hair in the back of the room heckling her the entire time. So
don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know where that guy comes from. He's always there and just gives her hell all the time, and it's fun.
Okay, to be fair, that one there was no heckling because I'm gripping someone's hand like tight, watching it. Oh God. And
what's up, Reed?
Hi,
and
Reed Bentley, ladies and gentlemen.
Her mom is right there, and I'm like, so I'm squeezing someone's hand watching it, and her mom is sitting there like almost about to cry, and I'm trying to get her I'm like, calm down, it's fine. She wanted to do this, it's fine. Like
Akira, tell the truth. Tell the truth, Akira. That story is the other way around. The mom was keeping you from crying.
Nah, man. Her mom left and was like, I'm going to the hospital. I can't handle this. And I was like, man, I can't wait to see how this is going to get.
Bullshit.
Shut up, Reed. 4 cans of beans. You're not even worth 4.
That's my new name. It's a lucha gimmick.
It's a lucha gimmick.
4 cans of beans. I wear a mask with.
Are you going to start up a school and take over Mr. Quack spot?
I think that we should stop wrestling as a whole. We should just go ahead. Let's pack it in. I think we've done what we can do. I feel like, however many years we've had, it's enough. Let's just,
improv comedy. That's where it's at these days.
Oh God.
So. Yeah, just action-based improv comedy.
There you go.
There's like a crowd interaction spot.
Give us a first line and a last line and a weapon. So,
Yeah,
that would work. So, Reed, if I remember right, because you and I talked a long time ago, I interviewed you for my second book. You were a straight A honor student. You were, I believe, pre-med. And what drove a guy with that much intelligence and smarts into death matches?
You want to ask, John?
I asked it. What happened?
Akira put it well.
It was pre-law.
Pre-law. Okay.
I started off in engineering and then into pre-law, and then realized that the itch to get into wrestling and to start doing that was way too much to try to hold down a job and travel for wrestling and go to school and do all those things. So I chose the working and wrestling route.
How dare you try to finish college wrestling? How dare you?
It didn't work out. I was not as smart as I thought I was, I guess, because I decided it was.
Listen, John, this is what happens. You can look at Akira and you can look at Oren and you can look at Alex, and they're going to look like me and Reed here pretty soon. It's just what happens. I used to be a Brad Pitt lookalike, and look at me now.
I've seen those pictures, man. I would swear it's Brad Pitt.
Well, Akira had to do something to get over, right?
I'm a lazy piece of shit.
Give it up for him, though, Reed. Fuck, man, he's everywhere now. They're begging for the kid, so he figured out what to do, man.
I say he's on every big card that I see on Facebook these days. So
pretty much all the wrestling shows that happen, there's a reject on them every weekend since quarantine ended, pretty much. So
we're like herpes; we're just spreading.
Yeah.
Do you guys ever come to New England at all?
I just got contacted by a guy from New England the other night, Johnny Powers, I think, and yeah, I think I'm coming to New England pretty soon, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm in Boston, so I'll definitely come check it out next time you guys are around here.
All right, cool.
I mean, it's not like we're.
Have you ever been to one, Eric? Have you ever been to a deathmatch show before? Eric?
No.
It will blow your fucking mind.
That is a favorite of mine. Is one of my favorite things to do is to be someone's first death match, not like as far as fans go, to be in the first death match that they ever see live in person. Because it's always like they always have a story. Every time you see them at any show, months or years later, they always remember that you were the first person they watched, do this shit, pretty much.
Yeah, I'll have to look out for it.
You should go, Eddie. You should go.
Am I going to be traumatized?
Like I said, I would have been in that. Pondo was telling me that tournament that you invited me to last year, and my rotten nephew had to go get married that weekend. So
that's all right. I catch so much shit for that goddamn tournament because two people didn't listen to what I said. It's not legendary. That's moron shit. And two guys that was told where a table of weapons went nowhere near that table, and now it's me. I'm the one that put a box with light tube in the ring. No, that's not how that happened. I damn near killed John Wayne Murdoch that night.
It's my favorite Canadian destroyer ever.
Hey, I did my best. I swear, I tried so hard.
I think that's my favorite thing I've ever watched John do. And like I watched when John and Reed were at ICW, and I was like, "Are you guys okay?" And they're like, "Yeah, it's cool." But I saw that, and I was like, "John, are you dead?" And he's like, "I can't see out of my one eye, but I think I'm okay." I'm like,
it was top notch.
I did my best.
I give Dale Patrick's the Pepsi plunge, no holds barred, a few weeks ago, and the can board, is like it's made out of cement. So it's things do not always go as we plan.
So Reed, what was your first death match like? How did you get into the actually doing the death matches?
The very first death match I ever did, I was booked for King of the Death 2011 in a non-tournament match with Congo Kong back when he was still Osiris. And then I guess something had happened. He was double booked, so he didn't make it that night. So it was, you're in the tournament, kid. So me and Rory Mondo, little Mondo, a match that I, regret having now because, there's probably a bigger piece of shit out there. But, that was my technical first one, unfortunately.
Yeah. So what's the most creative implement of destruction you've ever had to work with?
If you say vinyl bats, I swear to God.
Yeah, probably the vinyl bat. Honestly, yeah, that was
sucked so bad.
Yeah, they broke like shit. They were.
Oh, I felt like a tiger clawed my back.
I loved it personally.
You were like, yeah, it was awesome, and I'm like,
yeah.
Oh.
It was great, super safe for me. So
he swung extra hard.
Yeah. So I was talking earlier, Eddie, about as some of these guys are great storytellers and stuff, and I know Murdoch's not in the room or anything, but there's the old quote by Johnny Valentine that I can't make you believe pro wrestling is real, but I can make you believe I'm real, and just to tell people who read and John Wayne Murdoch these guys are the embodiment of that phrase. And I mean, anytime I've seen them in a match, I'm not watching pro wrestling. I'm watching two guys who come out and get into a fight. And I think on average, I've seen you guys out of the ring fighting far more than I've ever seen you in the ring fighting. It's not spot. It's not chain wrestling, anything like that. These guys come out and brawl, and they make it look real, and they make you believe. And that's the thing that I enjoy about watching you guys. So anytime I see you, pass that on to Murdoch for me too, please. But
I appreciate that.
I mean, and if you guys ever get a chance to, whether they're working death matches or whether they're working regular matches, if you see the rejects, if you see Reed Bentley and John Wayne Murdoch on the card, that's a match worth going to see. So.
Is John waiting to get in there?
He's not. He's not. We're waiting on him, and we're waiting on Schlack. So Schlack told us on Messenger what he uses his phone for, so we may not see him. But
we got distracted by the old hub.
Yeah.
So. I took care of that before the show started.
I'm doing it right now. You guys just can't see it.
You wouldn't be able to see it even if he was showing it.
Hey, what are some ideas that you've rejected? Like where somebody wants to do something, and you're like, maybe that's not a good idea.
Razor wire.
That one.
Razor wire can kiss my ass. There ain't no way.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Anytime someone really wants to do something with skinny tubes, if they think that they're like, oh, it's fine, I'll just do this because this is safe. I'd prefer to just not.
Yeah. No, thank you.
That's a rule in the deathmatch world. These are okay. These are not okay. Them little skinny tubes will cut the shit out of you more than a razor blade will.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So what are some of the other dudes?
You can't say anything about cutting though. Madman Pondo easily hands down one of the most gruesome deathmatch spots ever. The original, the scissors incident is just like,
oh yeah,
just over the top, like one of the craziest things I ever saw.
That shit was an accident.
Pondo, what'd you tell that story?
Accident.
There he is.
There he is.
I was there when it was Jimmy versus Takeda at the WrestleMania. Was it last year when he had it like in his shoulders, and he didn't remember this, but I was in there like cleaning and I was just seeing this hole in his shoulder, and I was like, oh man, fuck scissors, bro.
You was there?
Yeah,
with
Jimmy. Yeah,
I had to apologize to Jimmy because when they pulled him in the back, he had like this small cut on his shoulder, and I was like, what the fuck? What's wrong with this kid? And then later I saw that the scissors went down into his shoulder.
Yeah.
And I was like, man,
It was
sorry.
it was Nick and I in the back. Shane Mercer was just like, "Hey, go help." I was like, "Okay." So I'm sitting there just like mopping Jimmy off, and Jimmy's like just looking in the mirror, kind of like shaking, and I'm just like cleaning. He's like, "Is there anything?" Couldn't tell if there was something in it or not because it was like bulging out. And he didn't remember it, and I was like, "Nick," and he's like, "I have no idea what to do here, man."
This is a different
idea what to do
time.
because you're not a medical professional.
No, we
This
need
is a totally different time, man.
I'll ask a
I was
question.
there when,
Okay.
go ahead. Go ahead, John. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was going to ask a
I was
question
there
for you.
when the scissors went down into his shoulder blade.
No.
No, it was spring break last year.
All right, go ahead, John. Sorry.
Okay. Now we asked this question with the first group, and I'll pass it since we got Murdoch and we've got Reed and we've got you in here. What's the most interesting reaction you guys have had when you've had to seek medical treatment after a death match from the medical facility staff? As they would call it at WWE.
I'll go last.
Mine has to be when we took Reed to the hospital for his gaped open head where his eyebrows were sinking past his nose.
Yeah.
We've got an ice bag on his neck, and so his neck's wrapped, and he's got blood everywhere, so it's on his ear and shit like that. It's everywhere. So we're like, hey, he's bleeding to death. We need to get him back. They're not like taking how serious this is, and they're like, and they keep calling back. This dude's got his ear cut off, and like Reed's like, it's not my ear. About the fourth time they bring up his ear, he's like, it's not my fucking ear. And there's kids there, and this fucking dude, security, was like, you need to stop cussing in front of these kids. And Reed's like, I'm sorry, this fucking child heard me say fuck, and I'm bleeding to death. And then like I got mad, and that dude's like, what are you gonna do about it? I was like, beat your fucking ass if you don't get him back.
Yeah.
So then that's gotta be my all time right there, is taking them. It's crazy.
What was the reaction when they saw how bad it was? Really?
Oh, just like
they realized that, oh yeah, we fucked up.
He kept telling the surgeon, he's like, I just don't want it to look like this dude's shoulder. And he kept pointing at the scar on my shoulder. He's like, please do a good job. I'm a model. I'm an underwear model. He's like, I'm a model.
That was really how he was gonna fuck my.
So back in the day, back before computers was a big thing, you could, I'll put it this way. The Team of Doom paid a lot of my hospital bills back in the day because my name was Ron Reed. So when you went to the hospital, your very last number, you always added one. Like my address was 740 North Olive. Well, Ron Reed's address was 741 North Olive. My social security number lasted in 7740. Well, Ron Reed was 77410. And the reason that you do that is if they came back in and asked you questions, you didn't have to stumble over your answers because you remembered it was just one number more. And could get away with not paying hospital bills. But now with computers and pictures popping up, you can't do that shit at all. But I didn't know that the computers was updated when I did the circus death match with JC Bailey. And I went to the hospital and I told them my name was Ron Reed. And they said, okay, have a seat here. And they turned the screen around. They said, is this you? And I was like, yeah, that's me. And they said, your name's Kevin Kennedy. And I said, well, people call me Ron Reed, but yeah, I'm Kevin Kennedy. And I had to pay for them damn things. that was about the worst.
Well, no, I got the last four numbers. What were the first five of your?
Yeah, I was going to write those down as well.
I'm just sitting here like listening to Pondo talk about committing fraud, and I'm like, oh man, we're all listed down. Fuck.
You know what? Statute of limitations. That was so long ago. I think I'm good. No problem.
Yeah, I wrote Kenny Boland's autobiography. The amount of fraud and laws that were broken and the stories in that book, I mean, Pondo's a blip on the radar in comparison. So, but let me ask you guys. Let me throw this out to you guys because I mean, obviously, deathmatch wrestling obviously gets a bad rap from certain people. I've seen all of you guys on memes and stuff that people pass around going, I can't believe they call this wrestling and on and on. And, but what do you guys say when somebody says, it's not real wrestling. It's not a real art form or the criticisms that certain folks like to lob at deathmatch wrestling. What's your response to that?
One of these.
I think what I do for a hot dog and a handshake is my business.
Yeah, I was gonna say I survive on hot dogs if you read the internet.
Here's the thing, man.
Is there a bell?
This is the difference.
Fucking wrestling.
This is the difference between deathmatch wrestlers and other wrestlers, right? There is lucha libre wrestling out there, and people go to watch it because there's a market for it. There's comedy wrestling out there with Chikara. People go and buy tickets because there's a market for it. There's technical wrestling like Ring of Honor does and NWA. People pay money to go see it. Therefore, there's a market for it. Well, what those people also have to realize that people pays to see deathmatch wrestling as well. So there's a market for it. But the thing about it is, out of these 4 guys and the 3 guys that was before and deathmatch workers, we just don't talk shit about the other wrestling. We don't give a fuck. But they can't keep their mouth shut about us. So all we got to do is just keep being who we are, keep doing what we're doing. And as long as they're talking about us, they're advertising us and deathmatch wrestling where we don't give a shit about their kind of wrestling. But if it wasn't for their kind of wrestling, we wouldn't be wrestling today, so we can't hate on it. Does that make sense or no?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
That was said well. No one answered. That was the best. That was it right there. No, that was good.
The only thing I would add, I've seen 5 out of the 7 of you guys in non-deathmatch wrestling capacity, and all 5 of you guys are people that if I saw your name on a card, I'd want to see that show. I know how you guys work. And Murdoch, we were talking earlier, but before you logged on, I was telling Reed, you and Reed to me always have represented the Johnny Valentine line about, I can't make you believe pro wrestling is real, but I can make you believe I am real, and anytime I see you guys come out, I don't feel like I'm watching a pro wrestling match. I'm watching a fight because you guys come out and you slug it out. I don't see moves. I don't see this or that. I mostly see you guys brawling outside of the ring, and there's almost always blood. So, it's always entertaining to see you guys work. So
the thing I miss about wrestling at the arena is hitting somebody or knowing I just fucking stiffed this guy or whatever, then looking up and seeing Pondo standing there like laughing, like, damn, or he's reacted to a bunch of our matches. But yeah, man, we just enjoy it, dude. Like, we want to get in your face. We want to make the crowd believe it. Like, it is fucking real to us while we're out there. Like, we totally get lost in that whole thing.
Yeah. I'll say the suspension of disbelief when you guys are out there it's not a hard stretch. It doesn't matter who you're working with because your music hits and you don't come out to the ring and pose. You go out and there's my opponent, and you go and you split up and you attack them. So that's just how they go. So.
Akira wouldn't know, but Reed and John would know. I'm probably one of the lightest deathmatch workers you could ever meet or ever want to step in the ring with. Like, my That's shit true. Looks like it hurts, but I'm not out to hurt nobody. But I watch them 2 fuckers right there, and it looks like they're out to kill somebody.
Yes.
Last, one of them's giving me a Canadian destroyer, and then I'm shooting on that motherfucker.
Reed tells me about this one bump that he took was the bump that hurt the most that Pondo gave him right on it was a bumper, right?
A Mitsubishi Eclipse bumper.
Yeah, he said it was the stiffest thing ever.
Should have been the easiest thing in the world. Just a simple DVD.
It looked easy. It looked easy until Reed jumped off the motherfucker, and then maybe that wasn't as easy as what I thought it was gonna be.
Yeah. That
Give it
and
up to Ford. Ford tough, man. They built that bumper tough as shit.
It was that and I was on top of the basketball machine at Jammers, and Isaiah threw me off, flipped me off, flare bumped me to the concrete, like over the rail.
Jeez.
And yeah, that was the probably single roughest bump of my entire life. It was just life shattering.
Pondo, can you tell the story about the car in Indianapolis that was supposedly Drake's car or Drake's father's? No, it was Drake's dad's car, I think.
It wasn't supposedly Drake's dad's car. It was, but So me and this guy, Easy Cruise. Okay, well, let me back up. And Reed and John will both tell you that I don't drink alcohol. Like I'm not an alcohol drinker. And we were in this arena, and Nate Webb had a whole bunch of tall boy beers. And the concession stand consisted of chips and Vest Cola out of Save-A-Lot. And it was so hot in that building that all that shit sold out. So Nate offered me a tall boy beer, and it was the only thing to drink. So I drank one, and it cooled me down. And then I got hot again, I drank another. And then I got hot again, I drank another. And next thing I know, I had 4 or 5 of these tall boys drank. So I was fucked beyond all belief. Like when I went out, got on the microphone, I said I would love to get in the ring, but I have to go take a piss right now. And the cameraman followed me to the bathroom while I was taking a piss. And I didn't wash my hands. So anyway, we got outside in the parking lot, and some dude starts hitting this car, and he says, "Hey, man, use my car." And I'm like, "Is this your car?" And he said, "Yeah." So me and this Easy Cruise, he power drive me on it. He power bombed me from the roof to the trunk, and we fucked this car up. And then we found out later it was not that guy's car. It was Drake Younger's dad's car. So the only thing that saved me was the video was angled on that guy when he was saying, "Hey, use my car." So they went after him and not me. But it was, and the thing about it was, it had one of them classic license plates, where it was over 40 years old. I can't remember what the kind of car it was, but yeah, it was pretty fucked after we got done.
So Reed and John, we were talking about the Russian roulette of working with Fans Bring the Weapons. What's some of the crazy stories you guys have had with those types of matches?
There was a good string there at some IWA shows that everybody would bring fucking coffee mugs and attach to something, or like fucking coffee pots.
Yeah.
Shit that you would not break. We'd throw it to the side, like. You would mention it, they just kept bringing this fucking coffee pot. I think it was the same coffee pot. Like, I think they would get it and keep bringing it back. I don't know whatever happened to that coffee pot, but just weird shit like that, like things that you should know off the bat are not getting used. And then don't get mad when it doesn't get used. Like, yes, I'm not bumping on fucking uneven spikes and rusty nails. Like, come on now.
Hey, speaking of IWA, congratulations on your return, John Wayne Murdoch.
Yeah, I was waiting for it. I
heard your book for Double Death, John. Is that true?
No, I'm not doing Double Death because he will not. He tried to put me without you guys. It's like, what the fuck? No.
I thought me and Akira were booked. I was.
We were going to show up.
Yeah,
I thought we were.
I got paid. I'm unfucked, and I'd like to stay there. So I'm not working any dates. But I am currently unfucked, so that is one thing.
There you go.
I did hear that he reached out to you, Pondo, and sent a hello to you. Did you receive his help? Ian had reached out to you through somebody to try to talk to you or to say hello or some shit.
Yeah, Shaq. He had Shaq tell me hello.
Yeah,
hello back.
Yeah,
hello back.
You say fuck off.
You don't call somebody that in the ring and expect them just to forget about that. But that's a whole nother story, not for this podcast.
With the coffee mug thing, I saw in Japan they had like these potted plant things. So it was like a coffee mug, but they broke it and they just started like just throwing each other on it. And I was like, I'm not getting paid enough.
I broke this fish bowl once that I wasn't even planning to break. I picked it up and I was like, it was one of those instances I picked it up by accident and I'm like, well, what the fuck am I going to do with it now? I look stupid with putting it down. I'm stuck with it. So I just went over and held it to the guy's head and I was just going to fucking bounce my head off of it. I was like, it's not going to break, but it'll make a good sound. I mean, this fucking thing shattered. Didn't cut me or him. But it was just like, what the fuck? Did not expect it to break at all.
Someone brought marine lamps, and I was like, why?
I would cast iron skillets are a favorite.
I won't do like pencils, like the shit that Pondo did, like that. Fucking is.
No, you like the porcupine quills.
Yeah,
I want all four of you, all three of you. Well, fuck, all five of you.
Don't put me in on this.
Never land on pencils ever in your life. That was the worst shit. Stupidest idea I ever had in my goddamn life.
There's been a lot of them.
If anybody watching is curious and hasn't seen it, just Google Madman Pondo bed of pencils. Yeah.
All right, boys. I'm gonna bail for the night. It was fun talking to everybody. I'm gonna hop off here though, and you guys have a good night.
Thanks for coming on, man. Good to see you.
Later,
Is Slack still on Pornhub?
He must be. Eddie, we got any other questions from the viewers? Or we have viewers.
I think that's about it. Wait, somebody wants to know if you've been blackballed in a match, Pondo, by severely injuring your little Pondo.
That would be Terry Harper again. Tell him to kiss my hands.
The little Pondos, Jesus Christ. Coincidentally, what you were talking about with John and Reed, how they're very realistic, like, you believe them. I've been getting some of those comments now, and it's directly because I've been riding and hanging out with those two so much. Just because, like, people have still messaged me about John and I's last match at No Holds Barred, and they're like, they couldn't talk about just one thing. They were just like, it's a spectacle of what the hell are we watching. And I think that's like the biggest compliment I've ever gotten. I was like, that's pretty cool to hear. Mm-hmm. The fact that people are just like, you have to watch it from start to end to get the whole experience of it.
So how booked are you guys going into the fall? How many shows have you guys got lined up?
August was busier.
I'm November and December are light, but up until then it's fucking every week, like 2 or 3 times a week. Just the last Sunday and this Sunday are the only 2 like single weekends that we have, and I think every booking we're on it together. I think Akira, like
and next week is the one time I don't have anything, and then it's back to like 3s, 4s, and I'm like, let's go, man. I'm cool with it.
But a lot of outside shows, which are good, like a lot of like really outside shows, nothing's in like a fucking problematic area, like Mass, like everything that we've been a part of so far has been very well run, except that one instance where they had to change, they had to do in the barn, and everything got fucked up. Like other than that, like everything's been really, really good.
But even then, like people were still wearing masks. It's not like people were being little assholes about it. Like that's what's really cool about wrestling on these shows is that you're taken care of, and generally the fans aren't. They're not gonna be like, oh, I'm not gonna wear the mask. They generally do what they're told.
I'm glad to see that with that.
What is your typical week like? Like after a match, like what are you guys doing like Monday through Wednesday?
Man, you're looking at it. This is what I do.
Yeah. He'll be walking the bridge in about 40 minutes.
Yeah, I'll be walking the bridge every night. I've been walking this bridge every night for since April 21st. So that's 4 months and how many days. But other than that, I DoorDash. I'm 51 now, so if they want to book me, I want what I want, and I don't want to go for any less. I'll never ask for any more. But I'm not as booked as what I used to be. These two gentlemen booked way more than me, but that's my own fault. But I just don't want to go unless I'm making what I want and losing weight, and that's about my week.
I was gonna say, man, I'm just fucking hustle, try to think about merch, go through your gear, see what you can put up, ring more stuff, try to, make extra money outside of your payoffs and everything like that. So it's just, I've recently trying to been keeping more of a calendar. Like all these years, I never really wrote down shit. Like I would just save it in my messages. But now I'm trying to like keep more of a memory of everything because like I wish I'd have done that early on, and I didn't really care because I started like at 13, so I didn't really give a shit about sentimental stuff. So now I'm trying to keep track of what I'm doing now, which it helps now that with streaming services and everything you do is either online, clipped in some way, or fucking, it's going to be there forever. But just trying to collect more stuff is my goal now at this point.
I'm just like, I work, but it's like what John said. I'm normally doing like merchandising. Trying to, because I have a little thing now where I put all that stuff online. I've got the dog. I generally, try to promote the dog just because, and it's funny to me that people really like get attached to him. They want merchandise with him on it. It's stupid. Pondo has a love-hate relationship with that dog. Calls him a rat.
Fuck that dog.
But then it's like, going to the gym. Like, normally after a death match, I'm not too cut up. I just keep going about normally. But it was the No Holds Barred weekend with John and then Jimmy, and then I had like 2 more weekends of death matches, and it was just like, I'm not going to the gym. I'm not doing anything. I'm tired. I wanted to sleep.
Do people ever incorporate animals into the matches at all?
Man.
Not
what?
Anymore,
Are you a bestiality lover or what?
I don't think you can do that in the U.S. anymore. You used to have the alligators and the bear matches.
But... Yeah, like a pit bull or something like that.
No, Josh Crane was in a scorpion death match.
Oh gosh.
Yes, and I've seen piranha death matches. I've seen an alligator chained to the middle of the ring and shit like
Cactus.
that.
Jesus.
Cactus is not an animal.
It's alive.
So if you go back in Louisville, there was a man versus bull in 1909. And then you had there were a number of different bears, Terrible Ted and Victor and Ginger the Wrestling Bear. And then there was at least 2 men and 1 woman that wrestled alligators in Louisville as well. So a lady named Ada Ash, that was one of her gimmicks, was wrestling alligators.
Mike Porter used to tell me stories about the bear he used to have chained up in his in the backyard. He used to chain this bear up, and then he'd take it and he'd keep it chained up and feed it. But I always enjoyed hearing stories about that and shit. And Tracy, the funniest thing I heard was like was it Tracy or Pondo telling a story about a bear that was the funniest shit I'd ever heard. It maybe Tracy, but it's the funniest shit I've ever heard.
Yeah, it had to have been Tracy.
Tracy's wrestled 3 of them.
I want to wrestle like a kangaroo, like, or have a boxing match like a kangaroo or something like that. Like, but yeah,
I just want to watch that.
Like,
Watch his ass.
It's not going to happen anymore. Too much animal bullshit out there now. You can't.
I think the last person that even tried to even announce something was like Ian with leeches, and they jumped his shit. I think it was like 2015.
No, it was piranhas. It was me. It wasn't leeches he got away with. It was piranhas. It was me, and JC was going to do the piranha death match, and the animal people said, no, you can't do that. And I'm like, you mean you're worried about what the piranhas are going to think? They're going to be chewing on us. What are you talking about?
We're
feeding them.
So that's one of Tracy's stories. Is he was getting ready to wrestle a bear, and the local news came down, and he's getting ready to go out there to face this black bear, and the reporter's like, "Don't you think it's cruel what they're doing to the bear?" He's like, "Lady, I got to wrestle this bear 3 nights in a row. The bear's way bigger. Why are you worried about the bear? Why aren't you worried about me?" So,
Right.
Yeah.
Like, was it in Japan? They have the. I think in the Big Japan shop, they have like an actual scorpion that they use in the matches, and it just had babies, so they sell the babies as like novelty items. And like I think it was the one that was used in Josh Crane's match. It's wild to think about we do this to ourselves with animals. I don't know.
Is anybody
Scorpions
getting weird feedback noise
Yeah,
wise?
it's Pondo.
Fans going off like
It's Pondo.
oh.
It's me.
I'm just blaming you.
I was like,
I think it's I think it's on your end, John.
it is.
Yeah. God damn it, John. Make me look bad.
It took me
But guys,
forever
we're
to get
coming
in
up on.
this motherfucker.
So we're coming up on 10 o'clock, so we'll wrap this up. Let's go around and everybody just sit, tell us where we can find your stuff on social media and where you're gonna be booked next couple weeks if you got anything there to plug. Akira, go ahead.
At the Akira Way on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, everything. You got my merch page, theakiraway.com. You'll see me at the Insane 8. You'll see John at the Insane 8 this weekend. But also we'll be at ICW No Holds Barred, and I'll be facing Mr. Eric Ryan on the second night, and John will be facing. Who are you facing, John? Alex, right? No, I remember. Oren.
Old Bart. Yep. So I'll pick up where he
Go for it.
I'm not gonna re-announce the dates because everywhere he just announced, I'll pretty much be there too. You can follow me on Twitter, even though I swore that I'd never get a Twitter, I did it. The Duke JWM. The other ones, ignore them. I don't know who the hell they are. Follow me on Facebook, the same. Also, Crimson Mask is going to be dropping a Rejects design pretty soon, so check that out. And then, we usually fucking Akira carries 3 boxes of merch with him. So, I mean, no shortage of Reject merch. So just hit us up.
Wait a second. Before you guys sign off here, can you explain this picture to me? Real quick.
What picture?
Oh my. Yep.
Just tell me what's going on in that photo.
That's a
Me
shame.
trying not to die by the hands of Schlack. Funny thing is like I'm doing this and this looks like unsafe as fuck, and I would never only a certain amount of people I would trust. But the funny thing is when we get to the back, he thought and was okay with me actually stabbing him, like as hard as I wanted to. Like Schlack's the fucking dude. But yeah, it was me trying to survive against Schlack.
Yeah, screw you, because in the next show I actually got stabbed.
Yeah, I love Schlack, man. He's
all
fucking
that build up and I get stabbed. Thanks.
I mean, we talked about legitimacy. Like you look at Schlack and he is fucking just like you would not want to meet him in a dark alley. You wouldn't want to meet him in a fucking alley in the daytime. Like he looks like a scary fucker. So
Nick's like that too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Nick's just his whole vibe is there.
Well, here's the thing about Schlack, and I don't know if you two agree. I think he is the deathmatch star of today because of looks and braveness and all that shit. He's the total package. But if you ever met him outside the ring and you talk to him, he's one of the nicest motherfuckers you could ever meet.
Oh yeah, man.
He's kind of like, I view him like Brody. Like he's just kind of like a spectacle that people love, and he's loved in Japan, which I think is hilarious. Like he's like a sex icon in Japan.
That's funny.
And Akira's house.
Yeah, that's you.
All right, so Pondo, where can we find you, buddy? Where can people find you?
Man, I do this little show in Bedford, Indiana every 2 weeks. And then IWA East Coast, I got that coming up. Really, not that much. But my Facebook, it's Kevin Kennedy, Canady. Do your best to add me, and if I go through all them damn friend requests, I'll find you. Maybe, who knows?
You can find his book on eatsleepwrestle.com too. We got signed copies, and if I run out, he's 10 minutes away. I can go get him to sign more. So, and again, I want to plug Jeff Waldridge's documentary, hardwayfilm.com. Sorry we didn't get him on, and sorry Schlack was otherwise occupied as well. But want to thank Alex Colon, Eric Ryan, Warren Veitz, Madman Pondo, Akira, Reed Bentley, John Wayne Murdoch for joining us tonight. Eddie, thank you so much for staying up late with us too. So a little extra time here. So
that was a good time.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Cool guys.
If you wasn't on Jeff Waldridge's documentary, you're such a fucking loser. I'm sorry, Kara. I forgot you.
I was on it, asshole. I was on it.
I thought he was talking to me. I was like,
Briefly.
Folks, if you are an indie fan, any of the guys you saw tonight, whether it's death match or not, go see these guys. These guys all work. They're all outstanding, and they're fun to watch. And Charlie Cruel's okay too, who popped in for a minute. So
She sucks, and I hate her.
And you get to listen to Akira Heckler if you get to see her on a show. So
Yeah. Do a live stream at our house and me just giving her shit all the time.
Thank you for letting us do this.
Thank you guys.
absolutely, man. Thanks for putting this together, for getting everybody together, Pondo.
I went and follow all you guys on Twitter.
All right, cool. You didn't follow me because
You don't have
I
one.
have one, but I don't know how to do the shit.
All right.
Hey, Girl Fight Wrestling.
Don't do anything with that. I proved it tonight. I'm a
You got a
technical
burner
dumbass.
account.
I don't know what the fuck.
Hey, Pondo,
See
you forgot
you
to plug Girl Fight's coming up too next month as well. So
September 26th. Yeah.
Yep. Mickey Knuckles and Sue Young main event. So that'll be a great show.
All right, guys. Have a good night.
You too. Thanks a lot.